You're listening to the Immortal Icons of Dance podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Johnson. Welcome back to the Immortal Icons of Dance podcast. We're kicking off season 2 with an extra special guest. And because of that, the format of this episode is a little different than normal. Usually, I sit one-on-one to interview a guest and ask them questions about a particular dance icon that they worked with closely. In this case, I spoke directly with the icon herself, Allegra Kent. I won't give you a full bio on her right now because she really does that herself in the interview. But I will say that she joined the New York City Ballet in 1953 at the age of 15, was promoted to principal dancer at the age of 20, and both George Balanchine and Jerome Robbins created important roles for her. Allegra really took the reins in this conversation and wanted to tell her own story, so there isn't too much back and forth between the two of us. You'll hear me pipe in every now and then. You'll also notice that the audio quality sounds different than normal. That's because this interview took place in front of a live audience at a senior living center here in New York City. So, at times, you might hear commentary from the audience or other sounds in the room. It's also important that you know that during this conversation, I was projecting a slideshow of photos from Allegra's career behind her. The photos guided her commentary through her career in chronological order, so you'll hear us refer to what's being shown on the screen. If you'd like to get the full experience, I recommend that you watch this episode on our Immortal Icons of Dance YouTube channel. That way, you can see Allegra, and you can see all the rare photos that I found for the slideshow. The video is also complete with closed captioning. One last thing before we dive in with Allegra. In between last season and this new season of the podcast, I launched the Immortal Icons of Dance Vault. This is a research resource for dance history aficionados that's part blog, part archive, and is where I post photos, videos, books, and other interesting artifacts that I find in archives around the country. For $5 a month, you can receive the Plie package, which gives you access to over 500 entries in the vault. My favorite part is that everything is easily searchable, so you can read up on your favorite dancer or ballet, choreographer, composer, or photographer. If you're curious to learn more about the vault, you can try the free 7-day trial at immortaliconsofdance.com/vault. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back, and with a little bit of a different lecture than normal. We usually talk about one ballet, and then we have some current dancers come out to demonstrate. This month, and I want to give a shout out to Susie Pilar, our mutual friend. She is the one that helped set this up.
Oh, could I just say,
yes.
Mutual Friend sounds like a book by Charles Dickens. Am I right?
Yes, I'm mutual friend.
Okay, continue.
Susie and Allegra were in the company at the same time, and I've become friends with Susie over the last couple of years as I work at the theater, and I think now I've become friends with Allegra too, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let her do most of the talking today because she has lots of stories to tell. And so I'm gonna say, Allegra, will you take it away?
Oh, thank you. All right, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was conceived in Dallas, Texas, but I was born in Los Angeles. My mother, I think, wanted to, she liked the ocean, so she was moving west. But then during the war years, she moved to Miami Beach, Florida, because it wasn't expensive. You didn't need a lot of clothes. And I'd never seen a ballet. And then my mother, after the war, got sort of bored with Miami Beach. So she decided, let's go to California. And there was a kind of boarding school called experimental boarding school. And she thought, oh, this is interesting. I think I'll put Allegra in there. And so she put me into an experimental boarding school in Ojai Valley, California. And the experiment was basically, oh, that's all right. Yeah, thank you for not talking. Ojai Valley was in California, and it still is, by the way. And so actually, they really didn't teach you anything. They, interesting, they taught you about nature and things like that. And so I got there and was put in grade 4, but I said I really, in grade 4.5, so I said I have to move up because I didn't want to lose half a grade. So they did. Then they had a new teacher who got very aggravated with the students. And she said, I'm going to give you all black mark. And we knew that she was from the South. So she, when we made a lot of mistakes, she said to Naomi Levine, why don't you go back to where you came from? So guess what I did? I went to the headmaster and I said, you know what Mrs. Whatever said to her? Well, you see, I was an activist politically, quite here with this. I was 10, so 10 from 87. You
14.
I didn't, or subtract. So anyway, after a while, I decided I wanted to become a ballerina, but I'd never seen the ballet. But the school had 3 records, the Grand Canyon Suite, and also the fighting song, Notre Dame, 20 Swedes went through the weeds, chasing one Norwegian, and something by Beethoven. So I was in the back of the living room dancing away, and the boys were in the front playing strip poker because it was very progressive. But at that point, I decided I wanted to become a ballerina, but I'd never seen a ballet. So Mother took me home, and my mother had heard of Nijinsky. So his sister was teaching in Los Angeles during the war years. They didn't have beginners, they only had intermediate and advanced. So my mother said, let's put her in the intermediate. And basically, who was in the intermediate? Soldiers from World War II who were on the GI Bill of Rights. And they could choose something that would help them get into their next profession. And now I feel very sorry for those soldiers because you can't start ballet when you're 25 or something. You have to start it young. But there they were taking ballet classes, and there I was, never having taken a ballet class. And I suddenly was enrolled in intermediate. So I noticed that the first part of the class, you bend your knees. So I thought, I can bend my knees. And in the last part of class, people ran around the room with big jumps. And I said, I can jump. But the whole middle, I don't know. So I told my mother to take me to the library, but that didn't really help because I was hoping for a book that would describe every step. So what I did instead was just look during the class. And I caught on rather quickly the names, Ensemble, means Sajete, Tendu. So I advanced very quickly. And at the end of the war, Nijinsky moved because, Nijinsky, the sister of Nijinsky, because the men, their GI Bill of Rights was over. So she moved to a carpenter's studio. And one of the mothers said, your daughter has to study with someone called Carmelita Marachi, who was very amazing technically. She could do flamenco, Spanish, ballet. And my mother took me there. And I thought I'd spread my time between the two teachers, but they didn't want you to tell anyone. They were very possessive. So I didn't tell anyone, but I guess some of the students told Carmelita, but we asked it like it was. Then my sister came from New York City, and she wanted to be an actress. And she didn't think her name was good for being an actress. So it was Barbara Weissman. So she had a whole list of names. And one of the names was Candace, Francesca, Allegra. So I looked at her piece of paper. I said, okay, I'll take that one. And that's not unusual. It wasn't a career change. I mean, folks changed their names. A lot of people.
What was your original name?
Iris Vargo Cohen, but mother changed our name. And so it's not a stage name, Allegra, because I chose it at 10 and I wasn't on a stage yet. And so there I was, being Allegra and taking from two teachers. And then my sister had chosen the name Wendy, and she said, come back to New York. I'm getting lonely here. I want my family here. So at this point, I'd never heard of Balanchine. I'd only heard of Messine. I'd heard of Nijinsky. So Carmelita said, you have to go to the School of American Ballet because one of my friends teaches there. And Muriel Stewart. And so I'd never heard of Balanchine, but I knew the School of American Ballet existed. So I arrived with a letter to Muriel Stewart describing how I was. And she said, this girl is demonic.
Why did you say that?
So I studied there 14 to 15. And then Balanchine invited me to join the New York City Ballet. And by this time, I knew who Balanchine was. Took me, so I didn't know at 14, but by 14 in 4 days, I knew. And so I studied at the School of American Ballet for a year, and now I was 15, and Balanchine invited me into the New York City Ballet, which was 71 years ago. My age now, I think, is 87. So I didn't learn subtraction, but that was.
I think you're 87 in one day now.
Wow.
Aren't you?
That day is important. Wow.
Well, hey, we're worried about half a grade, we're worried about 14
Okay,
and
so
14.
here I am in the New York City Ballet, but I've never spoken to Balanchine. I was just in the company. And that summer, we were going to the Greek Theater, which is the outside theater in Los Angeles. And so I'd never spoken to Balanchine. But he saw me backstage eating a tomato. So this, he felt, was really unusual. So this is the thing that interested him. And then the next year, we were going to Europe, mainly Italy, to dance in 9 cities in Italy. And my mother said, I want to go with you. And I said, well, why didn't you come to boarding school with me? So I wouldn't let her come. And then I went to Italy. We went to 8 cities and the theater at Lake Como. So let's get on with my dancing career, because I've given you a lot of background. I think, I hope, I pray that you found that interesting.
Yes.
Oh, good, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah, we liked it.
All right, I got back from that tour, turned 17, and on the call board, there were names, 4 men, 1 principal dancer, Todd Bolander, and my name, Kent. And I thought, well, I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm an acolyte or something. You all know what the word acolyte.
Yes.
Oh, good, excellent.
We know it.
Yeah, vocabulary. But when I got in, Mr. Balanchine said, crawl up to where the 2 bars converged and stand up there, and then he told the men to put me on their shoulders. I think we, and then from the shoulders we crossed.
There, the center picture is how you start.
I was sort of an idol or something. He was searching for something, some answer. But what it was, no one knew. What it was, I didn't know. But somehow I signified an answer that could never be answered. And, but Suki said that he told her she was like a sphinx, but it was a supple, if that's true, it was a supple thing. Because I started moving backwards. I'm not going to do this. And the men supported me through unusual moves. But I was like no emotion. And Todd Bolander couldn't reach me, he wanted to ask me a question, but I was not responsive. There was no way. He was, and he did these wild antics, but I didn't react to that. At a certain point, I was standing on the men's shoulders. He was
Which part do you want to see?
in front. This is more, and I slowly leaned back, and the audience gasped. Would you say the words?
Gasp?
Thank you.
Yes, when she fell back.
And then, but slowly, so the audience was like, yeah. But the 2 men caught me, and then they immediately,
Threw you over.
Balanchine liked to sort of scare the audience. So, or, yeah.
Well, and she hasn't mentioned, this entire ballet, your feet never touched the ground at all. She was on their shoulders, on their hands, in their arms. So you were very like ethereal, otherworldly, and you weren't grounded like Todd was. He was
Well,
separate from
ethereal
you.
was usually used for things like Undine or fairies, but that was the middle of them, my transporters.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no emotion about all these movements. And some of them, I don't think it's pictures, they wound me around their waist like snake.
Wow.
And Todd followed my hands, but he couldn't grasp me. And there's all kinds of choreography. The men led me into an arabesque, and then I was tossed into his arms and curled up, and then on Fehl, but there was no, I'm sorry, paper falling into your face. So it was, and the music was the
Here,
honor.
Allegra, I got a picture for you.
Oh, this is the curling. Todd Bowler, myself, and the four men. You can't see the men, but they were manipulating me, but they actually had no emotion either. They were just like my porteurs. And, oh, you like that?
Uh-oh.
Good. I was unreachable, unemotional. The music was by Charles Ives. No one had heard this music before. Do you want to sing it for us? No, not sing it, but I won't.
I wouldn't be able to, no.
It was music no one had heard before either, because it was sort of discovered by a friend of Balanchine, and he created a whole ballet about this music. But the only piece that really endured was the Unanswered Question, the music. And I once went to the Whitney, and they had an exhibition, and they were playing this music as background music.
What was the name?
Very mysterious. Let's go on with I just turned 17 here. At this point, for unknown reasons, we moved to Agon. Oh, well, just a bit.
One more story? Okay.
One more story,
Okay.
or a half a story. My mother decided that I should give up ballet and go to college, which is unusual. So she made me leave the company, go to Los Angeles, and I went to UCLA. And then she came to California and said, I think maybe you should go to University of Utah. I think there's a song, Histoire Pourquoi. But anyway, at a certain point, I thought, I think I've got to go back to New York. This is ridiculous. And I did. And Balanchine started putting me in a lot of ballets. Where did we go? All right, then, here's an amazing ballet. Stravinsky, Kopechin, Balanchine. It was commissioned by Balanchine. They worked together. And it changed the choreography, the nature of choreography forever. Agon, I think you can see it on your television set.
Well, I'm gonna show them a clip of the pas de deux.
Okay.
Yep, they'll see it.
Boy, that was not graceful. So I have, you can usually walk in the room and watch rehearsals, except for Jerry Robbins. So, but I didn't, I was so busy rehearsing. So the first showing of Agon, everyone was on the bench. you can see me on the bench in the interstice. I hope that's the right word, between Stravinsky's black, is that the right word, the interstice? Black vest and Balanchine's white shirt. Oh, and Kopeikin's favorite color was pink, just in case you wanted to know. And then, here I am learning. Balanchine said to me, went up to her, said, whatever, I could say some cliches here, but I wouldn't. But it was like, I was out of my mind with this spectacular, the music was so unusual. Choreography, of that one out. Particularly the last pas de deux, Diana Adams, Arthur Mitchell. Oh, I thought that was, here's mine. So he said, learn any section, there were 2 other sections. Learn any section you want. And I said, this pas de deux, which I did. And Diana Adams was usually injured. She had a delicate body. And so I learned it and did it with Arthur Mitchell. An amazing pas de deux. When we went to Russia in 1962, we suddenly found ourselves in the missile crisis, the Russian and United States missile. We thought we were all going to die, and of all places, in Moscow. The ambassador came there to tell us. But what did we do? We continued to sew the ribbons on our point shoes because we were still giving performances. What else could we do but live in total fear? And I had left my daughter, who was almost 2 years old, in the United States. I thought to myself, why am I doing this? This is stupid. My being with my young daughter is more important than going to Russia. But Balanchine sort of said, oh, you must go. So I did go, and Diana Adams was fragile, and she almost immediately became injured. Our first night in Russia was in Moscow. The music is very, very difficult. And what the conductor did, we had 2 conductors, the main one and the other one, and he said, Hugo, you go to Russia and rehearse the orchestra because they have never heard anything like this. And so we were in Europe and sent Hugo to Russia. And then, so they had an inkling of what was going on. And so opening night, we were all like this. Agon was the first ballet on the program, and no one knew how it would be received because the Russian music had to be according to Stalin's wish. And the stories had to be Russian patriotism or someone who had saved Russia. And this ballet was abstract, so we didn't know. At the end of this ballet, the audience went wild, but wild with some limitations. Oh, I thought you were asking a question. No, yes. That's all right. You can adjust your hair. So anyway, the second night we did, and the Russians had never heard of music like this. Not heard of it, but listened to it, because they were never Khachaturian, named some Russian composers.
Shostakovich,
Yeah,
Prokofiev.
it was, yeah.
Tchaikovsky?
Stravinsky.
Well, that was
Oh.
really in the past. Who was the Armenian one?
Khachaturian.
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 Anyway, oh, good for you. I should know that, but I'm rather nervous. Trembling in my sneakers. So anyway, the audience loved this ballet. Totally foreign in every way. The second night we did it, there were the party members were not there. It was the regular people. They went wild after this. Totally unusual. And then we went to 9 birthdays, and it was hard. And somehow I was, almost every girl or ballerina was injured but me. So I kept dancing and dancing. At the end, we were in Georgia, Balanchine's where he was born, Georgia. What were the other ones? Kiev, where the wars are going on now, Azerbaijan. We were in the city of Baku, but I was so exhausted, I didn't really, there are amazing things to see, but I didn't see them because I was falling apart. Finally, we left Russia. I was really tired. A 4-Thai person. So that's like a 4-star general. So that's the story of Russia.
Can we show them a little bit of Agon?
Yeah. This is Agon.
Shows Allegra, we have.
Oh, so, I mean, the Russians saw that during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mentioned that, didn't I?
Yes.
Allegra, we have 25 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
I know. Can you tell us a short story about the seven deadly
Okay,
sins?
rapido. All right. Balanchine first did it in 1925 in Paris, and Kurt Weill, did he write the music?
Yes.
And Bertolt Brecht did the libretto. And about the seven deadly sins. And actually, the sins that I committed, it's quite easy, by the way. Didn't appear like any sins, they were transformed. So, and you all know the sins, I mean, because in politics, we all know them. We just know them. So, at one point, the end, oh, here's gluttony. I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm doing all kinds of things that really won't help me lose weight. So I'm doing, can you see that? I'm doing more of an acrobatic, can you see it now?
Yes.
I'm doing a kind of acrobatic thing, and begging for some ice cream. Roddy Lenya would give to me. So I pinched my thigh, I put my leg around my neck, I wiggled my foot twice, and then looked at my foot thinking, I wonder if that'll help me lose weight. But, I mean, so, didn't seem to help. She was a hard taskmaster. Oh, here we are on the horse. I go to a different city to commit a sin. It's like we were on the road. Oh, man, this will take, I'm gonna do this.
Yes, go ahead.
Count it.
Count? Okay. Starting. 1, 2, 3,
You have all the time in the world.
5 seconds. Not bad.
Okay, I didn't want to take any important time for whatever's important, whatever. Okay, thank you.
Any more stories about seven deadly sins, or should we look at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to gain money for Lottie and myself, so we can go back to Louisiana and build a little house. That's in the lyrics. So, this is not this. I'm in a cafe in a sort of Salvation Army bonnet and loose skirt down to there, and I'm dancing, and the audience is like this, all men. And Lottie comes in. What are you doing? And she casts me out, and the next thing you see me, I change my outfit for the nightclub. So I'm practically, by the way, I'm not naked up there, the breast, that's uncovered. Those are just little jewels on bikini. 4 men bring me out in some big success, and suddenly the men are throwing money at me. So we're going to make money in this. Actually, we're trying to go back to Louisiana to build a little home there. So that's why I'm trying to make money. That's our goal. What? I've forgotten what city this is in. The far city there is avarice. We all know that word. And I'm in Hollywood. And I'm sitting on a horse. And I have a bit part. And I slide off. And the man on your right is supposed to look like Groucho Marx, which he does with the help of the mustache. And after I slide off, I see someone else on the Hollywood set feeding a horse, and I start feeding him. So Hollywood is over and out. You can't sort of tell the director, you can't. They allowed you to be, in this ballet, they allowed you to be main characters. So I didn't get much money then. And then some other sins. This is the very last sin.
We don't have pictures of all of them. That's all I have. But
Oh, okay, this is the last sin. And Balanchine said to the boys in the corps, I want you to make a chain and kneel over like that. And I said to them, you wanted me to run along their backs. In this, he's holding my hand. But what we wanted was he wouldn't hold my hand. And I said to the boys, straighten your back so I can run over them like a serpent. A straight back. I was very good at that because in boarding school I did learn how to jump from rock to rock. That's about all I learned. But Symphony, see, I was in the second movement, which music by Fehl, and the score was discovered, and Fehl composed it when he was 17. 4 movements and a finale. And these are moments from the second movement. It's an exquisite section, just exquisite.
should we show them some?
Sure.
Okay. I'm sure you could talk for days about all of these
Oh,
ballets.
it's
We're
exquisite.
trying to give everyone like appetizers, just a little bit of everything. So can you tell them our story about the cage?
Oh, the cake. All right. So it's the world of insects, and it's a ballet by Jerome Robbins, or we call him Jerry, and so the insect is born. It comes out of the egg, and she has a hairdo she looks like a pupa. Does everyone, what does that mean, a pupa?
Yeah, like a.
Yeah, I read the dictionary.
Before they emerge from the chrysalis,
Yeah,
become a butterfly.
Yes.
Before they become the butterfly or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, she's not a butterfly, but many insect ladies eat their males. I don't know why they do it.
They're smart.
But, I mean, they're hungry. Jerry contrived this pas de deux, which is quite dynamic and beautiful. But then, at a certain point, the drama, the love drama is over, and the mother queen separates them and basically tells the little bug, it's time for dinner. So, did you have a picture of that?
I don't of that moment.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, the dinner hour is where I sit on. It's a sort of interesting configuration of my sitting on.
No. Okay, how about that?
Oh, hi. Yeah, and I'm stamping on him, and because they like their meat tender. So, and then they separate us, and I'm put on this interesting thing. And the mother, the queen, is on the side, and she's going to give the motion for me to stab dinner to death. And what do you have now?
What do you mean? What other pictures?
Of this?
Well, would you like to talk about?
Oh, yeah. All right. So I used to put my wig on this way. A lot of a product called Dippity Doo. Isn't that just the greatest name? And then hairnet over it, and then the wig, and then bobby pins. So, you're going to demonstrate?
No, I was just fixing my
But
hair.
that day I put a little too much dippity doo. Don loves the sound of that word. And that was the product's name. And too much dippity doo, too many hairpins, too many bobby pins. And it was slowly descending over my right ear. So I knew this wig was going to hit the ground soon. Oh, I'm not very good at problem solving, but I ripped it off and threw it into the wings. And let my own ad hoc hairdo. So then I made this little drawing. Of course.
That's your drawing?
Yeah, it's on the side, drawing by Allegra Kent.
Actually, Balanchine doesn't look like that, but I have him ready to catch. You know, he could have played baseball catcher.
What did he say when you got off stage?
All right. So I got off stage and I'm like, oh my God, Balanchine's approaching. I tried to make myself invisible. And he came over and he said, that was great. You should do it every time. Of course, the ballet was choreographed by Jerry Robbins. But I mean, I didn't. There was another alternative hairdo, which was little braids, shiny braids. So
You can see
I
the braids in this picture.
oh yeah,
There you
well,
go.
yeah.
I'm gonna interject with my little story. So she wrote about this, about her wig falling off in her book that I've read a few times. And then she drew this for a magazine article that she wrote about her wig falling off. And I had seen this moment and I knew the story. And last summer, I went down to Austin, Texas to look at a huge collection of New York City ballet photos that are archived there. That's where I get a lot of the photos that I bring you guys. And I gasped when I found this picture of that one performance where her wig fell off.
Oh, wow.
The exact moment that she drew. And I just thought, what are the chances that of all the times that she performed that ballet, that exact one, and I was so glad that I knew the story and knew the significance of finding that picture. So you can see two of them over there with her hair out.
It's great.
Yeah, and ouch, I mean, it's just like, ouch.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, I think we're going to another ballet.
Yes, so La Sonnambula, you saw.
Okay, here's the story. As I said, I got out of boarding school. I'd never seen a ballet, but I knew ballet existed. And I wanted to be a ballerina. And that's when I started, in the middle with the GIs. But I'd never seen a ballet. And Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo came to the Philharmonic Hall downtown. And there was a program. And the first ballet was Gaieté Parisienne. And I thought, oh, this is ridiculous, grown-ups acting like children. And there was another ballet. And then the last ballet was Night Shadow, which Balanchine changed the name from Night Shadow. Now it's called La Sonnambula. And so this ballet was the only one on the program that I thought was great. The other two, I thought, I read the cast. Alexandria Danilova and Frederick Franklin and music, Mieti. And that's as far as I went, because I didn't know the word choreography. I'd never heard of it. So I'd never heard of Balanchine. I'd never heard the word choreography. And I joined the company, as I told you, at 15 and then 16, 17. When I was 22 years old, Balanchine said he was bringing back La Sonnambula. No, Night Shadow, but he changed the name, La Sonnambula, because he wanted the name of the music to the same name. Was that awkward the way I expressed it?
We wanted the ballet to have the same name as the music.
Thank you.
Yeah. I understood you.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did, because I didn't understand myself. Anyway, it's a phenomenally great ballet. It's the only one on that program of Ballet Russe that I liked. And so I worked on it. I learned the choreography. Balanchine coached me. And then, thank you for turning it off. That's very gracious. So I learned the choreography. Balanchine coached me. And I was walking towards the bus stop, the 104 bus stop. And who do I see sitting there but Alexandria Danilova? And she said to me, I heard you're going to be the somnambulist in Night Shadow. And I said, yes. And she got up and started coaching at the bus stop. And the choreography, it's hard to describe, but the poet is stabbed to death. And when I come out with the candle, I'm led to him by a kind of inner extrasensory perception about it. And then I touch his body with my foot. And she started coaching me about that moment and showed me, she said, it's like you get stabbed and then your head goes around in the circle and then you step over his body and you go directly towards the audience and then you walk around to the door. It's kind of like a lot of stories, so it's hard to explain every detail.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, sorry.
Okay, every detail. And she told me how I would react when I touched his body would let go, how I stepped over, how I walked forward to the audience and went in a circle towards the door. And so Danilova at the 104 bus stop got up and started coaching me details that would make my performance better, understood, come over the footlights. And so I was grateful to Danilova, and I was also grateful the bus was late. And I loved doing that ballet. I did it in Russia. They loved it in Russia. It has, and once a Sonnambula has his body in her arms, she exits back. So there's an element of tremendous mystery. How many more minutes?
We're gonna do one more story, so we have either Bugaku or Apollo. Which do you want to talk about?
Well, you choose.
You know, I think we should talk about Bugaku because you're the only person that can talk about it.
Oh, okay. What year? We came back from Australia around 1958, and soon after that,
Was it maybe?
Balanchine is, what date do you have? 59?
I'm gonna look it up while you start talking.
Okay. Balanchine decided to do a ballet with sort of Japanese theme, but not exactly. And it was very sexy at one point.
1963.
1973. And you can, this is the rehearsals for it.
All right, I'll go ahead.
But this is these are the actual costumes. I mean, it's as covered up as anything, but it just looked less covered up. And you can see my body is absolutely prone against Eddie. And sort of yearning towards something, but I've never had a sexual experience. I mean, not me, her. No. So it was rather shocking to the audience. It took the audience and the critics a while to sort of get it. Of course, now, because of the Japanese, the whole, say something.
Because of what? What do you want me to
Well,
say?
I mean,
with political correctness, that
Yeah,
it can't
yeah.
be performed very much anymore because it's cultural appropriation.
but actually, it's a great ballet.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Can you see it on TV?
I don't think there's recordings on YouTube of more recent dancers, but I don't think there's footage of you.
I coached it when it was brought back quite a while back. Before it was driven off the market. But what is the opera that they're able to do?
I don't
Bugaku
know.
knows.
You're putting me on the spot.
No, not like a butterfly.
I've never related an opera to Bugaku.
It doesn't, but it's not against. Okay, this
Okay.
is quite sexy.
All right, so you're not allowed to tell any stories. We're just gonna look at the pictures of Apollo.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I just have to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
This is
I just have to say something.
which was done in which year? 29?
Yes.
1929. Very, very unusual. Stravinsky's not music.
Yes.
And, can you go
Go
back?
back.
In this particular pose, it's like swimming. And I used to say it's like swimming in the Ionian Sea, which I rather like that expression. Well, still, try to say something different. I love this ballet and Jacques D'Amboise, who I think was supposed to talk here, but didn't happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told her the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we first started the program in
Wow.
2019 before you got ill.
He was a wonderful partner, and
Who was your partner?
Yeah, this is Jacques.
Jacques
D'Amboise. I can't see his face.
Pardon?
Didn't he perform Apollo here?
They was here. No, oh, we had Craig Hall came and he showed us Apollo a few months ago. Yes.
oh,
So
yeah.
we learned about it, but not that.
So you did the part here?
No, he did a bit of the solo.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, with that, I think we have to say thank you.
I'm taking a bow. The microphone and I are taking a bow together.
Thank you all very much for being here. I will see you next month. And let's give Allegra one more.
The Immortal Icons of Dance podcast is written, produced, and edited by me, Lauren Johnson. Our music is written by Shelby Rassler of Jenkins and Rassler. If you like the work that is being done here at Immortal Icons of Dance, there are many ways you can support. Most simply, you can follow us on Instagram at Immortal Icons of Dance. It would also be great if you could rate the podcast on whatever platform you listen. 5 stars are always appreciated.